War Eagle Auburn family, your Auburn men's basketball team has just taken down the South Carolina Gamecocks by the score of 81-66. We're going to break it down, talk about the stats, the storylines from this game, and obviously hear from you on this post-game reaction stream. War Eagle Auburn family, and thank you for joining us, whether you're watching live, whether you're watching on the replay, whether you're watching here on YouTube, home base, on Twitter, Facebook, however you got here. Thank you for joining us and watching our stream today. And we appreciate you hanging out with us if you're watching live, especially. As you come into the stream, our normal process for getting this started today, do us a favor by smashing that like button as you come into the stream. It is a huge help to let people know that we are live, that they want to be part of this. Same thing on Facebook and Twitter. You can do similar things there, but everybody can do the exact same thing right now and post right now in the chat where you're watching from in the comment section, your city, your state. If you're international, do that with a War Eagle. Let us know that you're here hanging out with us, spending some time talking about this particular topic, another post-game show. Auburn takes down South Carolina Gamecocks, getting through the week completely unscathed after a two-game road stint against LSU and now South Carolina. As we've talked about this entire season, you do not need to take any game in the SEC at all for granted, but any game on the road in the SEC for granted. There are plenty of opportunities to slip up for any team, much less Auburn, but even so more so for us. And now we see the Tigers again continue a positive momentum, a positive direction from what felt like a somewhat kind of stop and start initial phase of the SEC schedule. But here we are sitting at this particular time point, feeling pretty good about what we're standing at, and a lot of really good and interesting performances to talk about tonight. So we're going to do all that, jump into that, but let me kind of set the table and say hello to a lot of people that are already checking in, a lot of familiar faces already here. Thank you guys so much for being here. Won't be able to say hello to everybody tonight. Leighton's here and brings up a great starting point. I think this is where everybody is going to initially go to tonight. Janai Broom with an absolute monster performance, yet another double-double. It is a shame, if you want to, obviously not to kill the buzzkill of that, but that he wasn't able to get a double-double last game to continue that streak going forward. However, you know, things are meant to be broken sometimes, as we found out this week. By the way, can we all just take a second to at least enjoy and celebrate the fact that the Auburn Tigers control the longest home win streak in basketball right now? How long that will last, we don't know. We care, but we're just going to enjoy having that too right now. But we'll focus mainly on this particular game tonight. Get Janai Broom so he can sweep through the SEC play. I feel like he's got the easiest name to make puns with, but I love every bit of it. So you guys can keep those coming, as lame as they might be, because I'm sure I've done some of those as well. Devin, good to see you. War Eagle, another great road win just because of how dominant we were. Got a tiny bit nervous about a half a minute when they cut the lead to 10, but we took care of it. Well, let's talk about that. So there's a couple of different ways that you can view this game tonight, right? From the start, from the get-go, Auburn came out and established itself in a very confident way and built a 20-plus point lead. I forget, what was it, 39-22 at the half, so just below a 20-point lead, but then stretched that. What was really impressive to me is how they came out after the second half. That's when they could have kind of laid it down and played a little lackadaisical, but no, they came out on fire, ready to play, ready to assert themselves, which is really what made it difficult for South Carolina. I think pretty much 99% of the teams in the SEC are capable and have the talent to go on these runs where they can make a game of it again. You can see that South Carolina is still a bit of ways away from being able to do that consistently, but you can see that they can put some good runs together and make it a little bit more scary, like she was talking about with this 10-point them knocking it down to a 10-point deficit. So it was encouraging to see that second half entering response. Again, you get a little bit discouraged when you see them take their foot off the gas a little bit in the second half as we moved into it. I've seen that before. It's not unheard of in the way this team tends to operate, this program tends to operate, so I don't panic about it too much. But it was a little bit frustrating to watch. But what was even more encouraging, not just the response of how we started coming out of the second half, but after facing that adversity, South Carolina going on a little bit of a run, Auburn really puts its foot back down and then keeps moving forward and establishes itself a pretty comfortable lead, ending up 81-66 on the night. So I'm very happy tonight. I find very few things to be frustrated with. In fact, I think most people would probably say that tonight they're probably like, I don't really know what to complain about tonight, other than there was a little bit of a lull there in the second half. A lot of great performances to talk about, too. Leighton brings up that G.G. Jackson for South Carolina was very good with 30 points. He is the 6th ranked recruit in the country in the 2022 class. Yeah, he seems to be a star in the making. If they can keep him there for a little while and build around him, he will obviously be something to contend with. 30 points for him. Not to be outdone, though, Janai Broome, 27 points tonight. It was a battle of those two in terms of who was going to take the accolades tonight. Obviously, Jackson gets a few more points tonight, but I think we're all very impressed with that double-double performance from Janai Broome. Lots of things to be excited about for both of those guys. The only thing I want to complain about tonight with the announcers, can we all just can we all just talk about SEC Network running the graphic that said we were going to play Arkansas twice tonight or this season, and I like there's no way they missed people ridiculing them about that the first time, but they ran it again later in the half. Listen, everybody's got a job to do. It's not even the announcer's fault that happened, and people make mistakes. I've witnessed our own Auburn accounts make a mistake on something within the last 24 hours and have to kind of redo it. Everybody makes mistakes, but when it's such a clear and obvious on national television mistake, you got to fix that. So yes, if it's a night where we're complaining about graphics, announcers, it was a night where we're pretty pleased overall with what we saw on the court. I didn't know he was committed to UNC. I didn't know about that. Do you think the passing and ball handling got sloppy because they had a 15 point to 25 lead at times? Oh, yes. So this team, as we've talked about tonight, the way Bruce Pearl, especially offensively, likes to run things is very free, open, loose, lets his players have creativity. And to me, I love that because that's just personally for me as a player, that's where I and a lot of the teammates I played with thrived, and we were given a lot of creative freedom to utilize the skills that we had and weren't kind of restricted to this one ideology of way of doing things. That's, to me, what watching Bruce, that's what he does too. What it does allow, though, is when you do get those leads, when that does become successful, it becomes a little bit habitual to slide into some sloppiness once you get that cushion. So yes, I would agree with that. I mean, I think that's the obvious thing, is a little bit of comfort level, overdoing things, kind of let that lead get away. Obviously didn't amount to much because they were able to get the win tonight. Let's see. Did not have the pleasure of listening to the announcers. Yeah. Well, it was fine. It wasn't anything too bad, but the graphic department needed a little bit of work tonight. I do want to mention Wendell. We're going to talk about, players of the game and stuff here in a second, but Wendell tonight was just on a different level. He has had this season, there was discussions early on in the season with him being nominated for the Bob Cousy Award, Best Point Guard Award. A lot of people get nominated for that. It doesn't take away from the specialness of it. But now you're really seeing, and if you listen to Bruce Pearl's press conferences, really starting to harp on the fact that he is underrated by media, by pundits, by whatever, in his abilities and contributions as a point guard. And I think tonight you really saw that. Significant amount of points, not significant, good enough amount of points from him tonight. But what he really does tonight is distribute the ball well, really gives others an opportunity to flourish. Tonight, Janai Broome does not have the night he has a good enough night, but he doesn't have the exceptional night if Wendell Green isn't tuned in to the way that he was tonight with Janai Broome. Also could throw that over to Dylan Cardwell. Wendell and his bigs right now really are in a really good place. And I love that because that's a really good sign heading into the meat of this SEC play. If you can keep that matchup going and keep some of these guys that have risen up, an Alan Flanagan, a Jalen Williams to really contributing statistically more, we're going to be in a really good spot when we get to some of those tougher matchups. Matt Morgan, loving the chemistry between Wendell and Janai. Reminds me of Wendell and Walker from last year. Yeah, he seems to have finally found that. And we saw it earlier with Janai and Wendell, but I think he's finding it with all his bigs, or at least I should say the bigs are learning how to play with Janai a lot better, and vice versa too. Why isn't our offense as efficient when Wendell is off the floor? Well, because it's Wendell Green. Yeah, listen, you're going to always have a little bit of a difference when you switch players out. You hope it doesn't get as stagnant as it did to other times, but also tonight when Wendell is off the floor. Trey Donaldson is still, he's had some great games. It's still coming along. Chance Westry is not really playing right now for whatever reason. So really that is a question that really comes to when those guys kind of get a little bit going a little bit more, maybe we'll stop seeing that drop off as much. But you saw Bruce only let that go on for so long. Doesn't take, listen, I want to say that Trey Donaldson has had some great games this year. He's just still taking some time to find that rhythm that Janai and Wendell and others in Wendell have had this year so far. You like watching the players get locked into the zone. Green was there. Let me talk about defense a little bit, and I want to mention somebody that right now gets probably a lot of flack because offensively he's not doing the things that we're accustomed to, and that's KD Johnson. I really tonight found myself watching, and he's not perfect, but tonight watching him defensively, trying to find the other things that we can praise him for while he is struggling on the offensive side of the ball. He has a awareness of where he needs to position himself, especially in man defense, opposite of the ball, and how I don't know, I can't really demonstrate this in this limited space right here. I would have to be on the court with you about how you're almost supposed to have a string attached to you, an imaginary string from you to the ball, and it dictates where you go and where you place yourself in relation to your person you're defending and the ball. KD tonight, as we've always known him to be a great defender and a tenacious defender, getting in people's head. He got into somebody's head at the free throw line tonight. But I really think I saw and appreciated tonight how smart he is defensively, especially when he's not even on the ball. So I don't know if people pick up on that a lot, so I just wanted to mention that tonight. 12 assists tonight. I don't even think facilitator goes to the level of Wendell Green tonight. He was provider. I don't know if that's enough. There's got to be another word out there to describe what Wendell Green was to Janai, to Dylan, to Flanagan, to all the players out there. He just gave the ball up so much to guys and giving them opportunities to shine. And then, as predicted, we did on social media, took over in the second half and got himself some points too. There's your update for how we're doing on the post-game meme tweets. Devin, I think we are just the meme culture, I think, is starting to go into its waning years. And I hate to say that because I loved it, but the more and there are bigger games coming up and we'll have some more enthusiasm for that. But yeah, it's slowing down. How about the threes from Trey Orr? Nice to see him see that from him. Absolutely. So let's talk about Juwan Traore. Let's look at his stats tonight overall and start there, kind of looking through some individual stats. Juwan Traore tonight, and it's because mainly we haven't got to talk about him a lot, especially in such a good light. 8 points tonight, 3 for 6 from the field, 2 for 5 from three-point land. He got a little bit three-point happy at the end. He's feeling it. I understand that. I get it. 0 for 2 from the free throw line, 1 rebound, 1 assist, and kept himself pretty much out of foul trouble. Only 1 turnover tonight. Actually, I had that backwards. Let me scroll back down there. I was reading somebody else's. He had 1 rebound tonight. So 8 points, 1 rebound, 2 for 5 from three-point land. I was given some of Trey's stats to him. I was reading one line too high or low. Juwan is this close to getting it figured out. Not in saying that he is going to be a big numbers guy even this year consistently. Maybe he will. We don't know. But to becoming what Alan Flanagan is to us right now, to what Jalen Williams has been for most of this season at this point, and people are just now getting that. I really think he is that close to getting it figured out tonight, and he's eager to do so. And you could see that in him shooting very quickly those other 2 threes that were probably, I don't want to say ill-advised, but you're also wanting a guy to kind of try to figure it out. And this is a night where you could do that, where you had somewhat of a comfortable lead. So I'm not complaining about that. I'm just saying that I think that we're this close to getting him there, and I hope that he continues to progress because he is going to be vital to this team going forward. You hate playing against the zone defense. Well, the zone defense, you usually use it when a team you're daring them to shoot threes. And as we know, this team historically this season, Auburn, has not been the best three-point shooting team. You're daring them to shoot from distance. And if they can continue to show they can do that more consistently, you'll see guys do more man and have one-on-one matchups and see how we can tear people up that way. Yahari, what did you like tonight, buddy? Not to pick on you. I don't think you liked anything tonight. Struggles against the zone. Yeah, we're going to struggle against the zone, like I said, just because it is built to combat people that aren't good from shooting from distance. So you're going to see that a lot until that continues to improve. In your opinion, do you see our free throw percentage getting better, same, or worse? It's about the same to me. We'll look at it real quick. We haven't made it over to team stats yet, but free throw percentage tonight, 72%. It got much better. It was at 68, I think, is what it was before those last few. Let me go back to Yawan tonight. My only complaint for him, we got to get his free throw shot down a little bit more. That rhythm is not something that I think would be successful for a free throw shooter. I've seen weirder ones be super successful, so I'm not going to say it can't happen. But for me, what I'm seeing out of the results, I think he was like 8 for 24 now on the season or something like that, free throw wise. It's obviously not working. We gotta get something straightened out there. So if he doesn't miss those twos, maybe this is even a little bit more impressive. We're in the 20 out of 25 at that point. As it is, we're at 18 out of 25. To me, it's the same. This is a little bit better. My mark is very high, and I acknowledge that. 80% free throws is a lot to ask, but that is a team that is super successful and is on it. Teams that shoot 80% on a somewhat consistent basis are very good teams. It's hard to do, but I think 80% should be the mark you should aim for. So that until they can do that, have they done it all this season? I can't remember. I know they hit 79%, maybe one time. So I think it's the same right now. Hasn't really dropped off any, but it kind of does this number where it just kind of goes back and forth. Maybe it's so if you think about it this way, if they've had a very inconsistent free throw shooting year, if this is the bad end of the low end, they've probably been right here for the most of the time, but they're slowly kind of wavering right over here. If you really push me to it, I could say maybe improving just a little bit. Yahari loves our offensive approach at attacking from inside the paint. A concerted effort was made to be dominant down low. Yes, and haven't you noticed that? Like when we have asserted that at the very beginning of the game, we've gotten off to really good starts and had a really, I won't call it an easy, but an easier time, especially on the road. Now, you saw LSU, I believe it was, really focus in, or was it Mississippi State? It was one of the last two teams focus in on eliminating that because people saw us having success with that. The bad thing is we were successful in some other areas, so it really didn't matter for them. If the threes begin to fall, we will be all right. I think we're all right now. I'm pretty happy with where we're sitting at currently at the season. Not a great three-point shot percentage tonight. 18%, 2 of those, and only 3 made. 2 of those are Yawan Traore tonight. 3 of 17 will not get it done most nights, but when you are as dominant as you were in some other areas, it's not as big of a concern tonight. But yes, if we become a better shooting team progressively throughout the season, this will get very interesting for some people. Yeah, the Bama fans are really hyping up that game. It's going to be we might actually have our Pearlville level type of hype game coming up here very soon. I'm getting excited for that one. It'll be a good game regardless. So what you hope for is Auburn stays undefeated until that time, and Alabama is undefeated to that time. So it just kind of builds and builds and builds. Good to see you. It's all right to be late as long as you come hang out with us. See a dominating win on the scoreboard. A little bit of a lull there, but for the most part, pretty dominant. So let's look at some more individual stats tonight. Let me ask you guys this as we go through some of those. Who is your player of the game tonight? Now, I always caution you not to say it's wrong. There's a big one out there that's obvious. But really look at how everybody played today. And I want you to think about that when you pick your player of the game. Post that in the comments section right now. Wherever you're watching, would love to hear your player of the game. 16 points for Wendell Green, 12 for Jalen Williams, 27 for Janai, Zep Jasper with 4, Alan Flanagan with 8, Katie Johnson with 2, Trey Donaldson with 1, Trey Orr with 8, Berman with 1, and Cardwell with 2. So everybody who saw the floor tonight got some points, which is, you love to see that. You really do. Jalen Williams distributed the ball. Well, actually, I'm sorry, I read that wrong. He got a lot of rebounds, 6 points, 6 rebounds tonight for Jalen Williams. Flanagan with almost a double, 10 rebounds for him on 8 points tonight. Janai Broom gets his double, 27 points, 11 rebounds. And then Wendell Green, 12 assists, 16 points, gets him his double. Don't see those as often as you see the rebound points combo. But who is your player of the game? I want to say Broom, but Wendell had 12 assists and 16 points, and those passes were beautiful. To me, I think it's Wendell Green. I'm just going to be honest with you guys, not to take anything away from what Janai did. What he accomplished tonight was amazing. I just don't know that if his game is as incredible, and it still would have been incredible if he played like he did, even without Wendell's dishing it out to him. But Wendell was on a different level tonight. I really like the way Wendell Green played. And he is probably, if you want to point to a reason we won tonight, he's probably the reason we won. So for me, it's going to be Wendell Green. You better be there, Rob. And by the way, if anybody's got an extra ticket to that, let me know, because I want to go to that for a reasonable price. I have not been to a game in Neville Arena this season. Would love to do that. Yeah, so a lot of you are talking about that Alabama and Auburn basketball players feud. I haven't really seen the full details of that, so I'm not really getting into that. But if that's true and all that's been going down, that's pretty entertaining. So that's only going to make that game even more enticing to watch, to be at, to be a part of tonight. So, or in a few weeks. So that'll be really fun to watch. All right. We've gone through some of the individual stats. Let's look at some of the team stats tonight and talk through some of those. Field goal percentage tonight, 50% from the field, 30 out of 60 we make. Now imagine that with the fact you now know that our 3-point percentage was 18%. Only 3 of 17 were made. That's how good we were inside and in the paint, but in the 3-point arc, inside the 3-point arc. Great night of shooting for Auburn overall when you negate that poor 3-point shooting, which is what you want to see. If you're going to be a poor 3-point shooting team, you need to make the other shots or else you're going to be in trouble, especially offensively. We've mentioned free throws, 72% tonight. Good enough for this team that hasn't really hardly ever, if any, broken 80%. But they could do a lot worse. So I'm not going to really complain about it too much. Can we point this out again? Only 9 turnovers for Auburn tonight. Only 9 on the road in what could have been a hostile environment. I don't feel like it was that bad tonight. There was a huge contingency of Auburn fans that traveled out there. Again, I should do this at the start of the show, especially for those of you that maybe tune in after the games, after you've gone. My hat's off to you guys that are traveling. If I didn't have to do a show, I'd probably travel to some of these. But really proud of the showing for Auburn fans to go be quote unquote witnesses, as Bruce Pearl calls it, and travel out there to Carolina. I heard there's some good eating out in South Carolina too that I need to go try. I hope to one day start my pattern of going to all the different SEC basketball arenas like I do the stadiums. Let's see here. Okay, other stats to talk about tonight. Wow, there's a lot of good things here. Points off of turnovers tonight. 22 points for Auburn, only 5 for South Carolina. Rebounds, completely even, 35 across, and basically the same, give or take a few in each of the different defensive and offensive rebound categories. Second chance points tonight, 12 for Auburn, 7 for South Carolina. Listen to this, points in the paint, 46 for Auburn, 20 for South Carolina. They had a few times there where they just really missed some easy shots down low they could have made. Fast break points, 27 for Auburn, 9 for South Carolina. And then assist, 20 for Auburn, 8 for South Carolina. Now, when I try to point out to you the stat that won us the game tonight, it's really, really hard to do because you could point a lot of different ways. So what do you guys think? Do you have a stat that really points to you why we won this game tonight? Post it in the chat right now. But like, you could say it's the 50% shooting overall. You could say it's the points off of turnovers, 22 as compared to 5. You could say it is the points in the paint, 46 to 20. It's not as impressive as some of those others comparatively, but when I look at the assists, given the nature of Wendell Green, how he played tonight, that 20 assist to 8 for South Carolina losing that battle, to me, that's the difference in the game tonight. Auburn, even outside of Wendell Green, had great ball movement at times tonight and shared the ball really well as a team, and I love to see that. These are guys that are buying into the concept that Jabari's gone, Walker's gone. We're not the stars that they were, but we're never going to be, and we shouldn't want to be. We should want to be the best version of ourselves that we can be, and that's with everybody pulling their weight together and no one trying to be the superstar. And so I think that's a reflection of this team tonight. So that's why it sticks out to me as the big one tonight. Assist, Ryan says, I agree. I think the assists are really huge for this team tonight. Let's see here. Definitely need to take care of the ball more at home. I feel like because of the crazy atmosphere, the guys get a little loose with the ball. Yeah, when we're at home, it's an advantage for us, but it can also be not a disadvantage, but play into some of the bad habits that we have. Like people were concerned with that second half play being a little loose at times and allowing them to get it back down to 10 points. That can happen at home too, especially when we're real hyped up and want the crowd to just get on their feet. It's always a good thing though. Kevin, good to see you, buddy. Thanks for being here. Win looked like Trae Young. Well, that's a I don't watch the NBA a whole lot, but I know that's a pretty good compliment. Trae Young, the former Oklahoma point guard, right? Yeah. Our approach to the game is winning it. Well said. Well said tonight. So we've talked about players of the game. We've talked about individual stats. We've talked about team stats and storylines. What is something else that we haven't hit about this game and implications of it going forward? Let me know now in the comments section. Let me give you, while you're doing that, some things to keep in mind for what's coming up next here at E2C Network. Our next scheduled live stream is tomorrow. It's basically every day at this point. You need to know we're going to have something for you at 9 Eastern time. Let me say that again, 9 Eastern time. Do not miss the Auburn Experience podcast. It is the flagship show for everything that we do here at E2C Network. It's about everything that we want this channel to be about, this podcast network to be about, our social media, all of it, sports, culture, and of course, family. The Auburn Experience podcast, episode 20, the live recording. You can catch it on the replay or just the normal process of listening to a podcast, but we have a great time before and after the recording, just hanging out. It's kind of like a mini Wednesday night show, so don't miss that. You need to be a subscriber. You can be a channel member. You could even be a Booster Club member to help support our content here. Or you could check out some of those other links in the description. We appreciate those of you that are able and willing to do that. But the biggest thing you can do is completely free, is smash the like button. Do that for us and be here. Drop a comment on videos, especially after these live streams, to enter you into that giveaway. And that's a huge help for us. So you guys continue to be very kind and very generous with your time, especially by choosing us as your content of choice as things related to Auburn. All right. Any other final comments, questions, derogatory rebuttals as we wrap up our show today? Just kind of final thoughts. Again, very happy with where we're sitting at as a team right now. I don't think we peaked, but I think we are trending in the right direction, and seeing us maintain that trend is a very encouraging thing. Hosting the longest home winning streak in basketball is something we should be proud of and celebrate, as long as we're able to hold on to it. And it will be tough to do so, but I'm very happy about all of this. Shout out to the gymnastics team, who's also dominant. So that's still undefeated in Neville, because gymnastics, even though that's a different sport. We didn't talk about Flanagan a lot tonight. Let me mention Flanagan, to monster dunks tonight. Flanny deserves some props. So that I don't know that Flanny ever watches this. I know some of them do. But Flanagan tonight was very impressive again. I like where he's sitting at too. That's my thoughts for a lot. I like where the team is at a lot, where a lot of the guys are at. And the question I still begin and try to think about the possibilities about what could be. What happens when Trey Orr becomes more consistent? What happens when KD Johnson finds his offensive role again? What happens when XYZ that we've seen flashes of arrives again? This could be a very scary good team for some opponents at the end of the season, especially as we move into postseason play. But for now, we're going to enjoy it, and happy for this team to get another win on the road and start off SEC play with 6-1, now 16-3 on the season. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. You guys are the best little family within the Auburn family, and I appreciate you so much for being here and spending your time with me. Until we talk to you again, hopefully tomorrow night at 9 Eastern time, War Eagle.